Me about friendship, the importance of friendship, your experience with making friends.
To provide nuggets of life.
Oh Lord, oh Lord.
I think that as humans we grow more in the area of unlike-minded
I was just gonna say that.
And
Different mentors, getting a mentor in your life is so important. Like having a good mentor, because even when the mentor would come and tell you something correctly, you've got to sit there and listen. And
welcome to another episode of the Transform Podcast. Today's episode will be somewhat different. I actually have a bunch of my friends out here. I'll introduce them in a minute, but the idea is to get this conversation started, see where it goes. I think we have a couple topics. What could they be?
Passion.
So I heard something about passion,
Food.
emotional intelligence.
So we'll see what comes out of this. I think it will be fun. I think it will be an incredible experience and an opportunity to have some fun and help you transform. At the end of the day, the purpose of the podcast, if you're looking to transform your health, your wealth, and your relationships, this is what we do here. If you're looking for something like that, please subscribe. I have Lisa right here. She's a friend now. She's an incredible process-oriented person, an incredible professional and a connector in the community. She's, very passionate about mental health. So we're going to touch on that today and some of the topics that I think she excels on. So stay tuned. I have this other friend right here, Melissa, incredible connector in the community, really passionate about bringing people together, high energy type of person. She likes food. She has a blog too, and we're actually losing her because she's going to relocate. She's going to be relocating to Illinois. So we're happy about that today. But that's what we're all here together to celebrate what she's done ever since we've known her and what she's about to get done. So and we have Yenny right here. She's on the the boss side, the executive side. So I'm excited to hear her take and her piece. So let's start with, what did you say, Lisa, again, that you wanted to talk about?
Passion.
So why don't we talk about passions? And since you brought that topic up, why don't you talk to me about, brother, remind me that topic that you said about forgotten passions or
Igniting your passions.
We actually have a producer who's not producing for us, but he's actually somebody that's here with us.
Silent producer.
In this park. Shout out Mike.
Yay.
He's actually collaborating here today outside of camera, but he's giving us a topic, reigniting forgotten passions. Old passions.
Yep.
So why don't you talk to me about some of your old passions, maybe what that means to you and, what someone could do today.
Okay.
To get their passions, to flare up again.
Reignite them. Okay. So I guess passions really depend on the different stages that you have in your life, right? We all have different stages of our life. So when I was real young, I had a different passion. And then I have a different passion now that I'm here and I'm an empty nester and my kids are out of the house, right? So when I was younger, growing up, I was a dancer my entire life. Nice. I don't know if you guys know that. But
I didn't know that.
Fun fact.
Yes, fun fact. I was a dancer my entire life. I started dancing when I was about 2-3 years old. I turned professional when I was about 4 years old, and I've been dancing ever since. Like I still
dance for someone famous.
Nice. Which I was getting to.
Thank you, Melissa.
So I danced. I literally everything. Tap, jazz, ballet, hip hop, flamenco, like literally everything. It was my passion. It was hardcore. I come from a very hardcore family. Like its second place was, you got to get it out there and you need to work your hardest, right? It taught me how to collaborate with different, people. It taught me how to be able to prepare for something. It taught me many things. It literally did. It taught me how to keep in shape. It taught me how to eat correctly, even at such a young age without even knowing it, right? Because you have to be able to do that. When I became older, when the kids grew up, I tapped back into that several times, right? Like I went back to adult classes and did things like that. Even when my kids were older, I went back to, ballet classes for adults or hip hop classes for adults because that's like a reigniting of a passion. It's one of those things. I still do it till today. It's just one of those things that you're going to have for the rest of your life. One of the things that I do miss is when I got to tour. I got to tour as a backup dancer and a singer for Sábado Gigante for Don Francisco.
Wow.
So that was a different element.
So why don't you define passion for me? What does it mean to you?
I think passion is something that reignites something inside of you. Passion is something that differs per person. Passion is something that makes you come alive and that you will work hard at it and it doesn't feel like work.
Wow. How about you, young lady?
Both mics on me. I'm double fisting the right way.
Oh my goodness.
You have to edit that one out.
Why not? That's just so good.
This is it.
I think to me, food is just a different surprise in and of itself. So there's a different pieces that now getting into that deep phase because, man, you came up with a great story altogether. I'm like, I can't just say food anymore.
Yes, you can.
To me, there's different pieces. As I was growing up, philanthropy was a huge part of my family's life. So we would do Thanksgiving, we would do Christmas, and we would do toy drives and food and just it brings that family piece together. So because my family is from different areas of life that I essentially consider myself a mutt because I'm Cuban, Nicaraguense, and Lebanese, and it's just a mix that people just normally don't hear of. It kind of brings in that sense of belonging and wanting to be a part of something that is bigger than yourself. And then, as you mentioned, my blog has always been an outlet for being able to express myself beyond photos. So a lot of my family was always like, oh, what did you do here? And how did you do this? And it kind of came into that traveler's piece because my mom always said that I went into a plane as soon as I was basically born. So even in pieces like thesis and statements and things like that, even applying for college, I just tell myself that I've been born out of a plane because I'm on a plane so often.
Like my kids.
So it just makes sense in terms of, okay, I want to share what I want to do, but I didn't know how to pursue it. And so no one taught me how to build a website. No one taught me how to build the branding piece of yourself and how to discover yourself. And so when I was going into picking even the name for my blog, it's called Plain and Cheesy because plain is a travel piece that I love to just explore. And cheesy is because I'm super witty and punny and it's my personality.
And cheesy.
Cheesy in a way that I just heard from a little birdie that she wants to create a podcast called Chicken Nuggets.
Okay, but it makes sense because it's the nuggets of life.
Just understand that we're announcing it here live.
Maybe now I have to manifest it.
Coming up next. Define passion for me. What does passion mean for you?
Passion means the ability to do what sets your soul on fire and really pursue it in a way that you think is morally correct. It's fun for you. It's different things that that someone else doesn't have to be a part of your story if they're judging you in a certain way. Because we want to make sure that we're portraying ourselves in the way that we want to. And really, at the end of the day, you're writing your own story. So we want to make sure it's in the positive manner.
I like that. So now we're switching it over to my friend right here. By the way, I think I've known you for 2 years now, at least? I've never once been able to pronounce her name correctly.
Yeah.
Once. Yenny.
Think of when you're saying, yay, it's Yenny.
Is it Yenny?
It is Yenny.
Well,
see, I'm still not pronouncing it correctly. But anyhow, I'll pronounce it how I want. My friend Jenny.
So it's spelled with a Y. So in English, obviously, it's pronounced Yenny. But the Y in Spanish is a J. So everybody calls me Jenny, not Yenny. But in English, everybody's like, is it Yenny? I'm like, whatever. I go to a restaurant and they'll be like, oh, you meant Yenny? And I'm like, yeah, that's what I meant. Whatever. But I say Jenny. I'm like, hi, my name is Jenny. So,
right.
But yeah.
Tell me about your passions, my friend.
My passions. Oh my God, I have so many. Well, one of my main passions, and I discovered it maybe within the last 6 years, is obviously the emotional intelligent component of life, right? And how it's in any aspect, friendships, careers, anything that we do, the emotional intelligence piece is really up there, I think, because the way we react to our surroundings is all our emotional intelligence, and the way we can't control anything in our surroundings. So I think that that's one of my passions, and trying to help spread that awareness into the community, because it does help us be a little bit happier humans, because happiness comes from within, does not come from anywhere else. I don't care how materialistic, the money, the anything, none of that, but it actually gives you happiness. So I think it's all, back to tying in with the mental health, the brain time that we give each other, and that we also self-analyze how we're perceiving something. We're all sitting in the same space. My perception of the table is different than your perception, because you're looking at it from there, I'm looking at it from here. So to me, that's very important for the community to be aware of, and that self-awareness of the emotional intelligence part. I think that's one of my main passions. There's many other ones, but if I can say what passion is to me, it's literally when you have that drive that you don't care really for anything else but to deliver that passion, that message, that care, whatever it is that you're passionate about. Everything, if your tunnel vision to that, that's the passion. That's passion for me.
I love that. I love that angle. Mm-hmm. You mentioned something that resonated with me, so I want to drive on it. You said that at some point you find yourself with the realization that maybe money and all these things was not really a big driver for happiness.
Right.
I think that hits everybody at some different point in their life. I guess I was lucky enough that hit me. Not at 60 years old, but, maybe 28 or 29 years old. What triggered that for you?
For me, I will say that it had to have been seeing people around me. Like, for example, somebody gets a material thing and 6 months later, they're over it. And it's a pretty big, it's almost as a mortgage of how much of a loan or how much of a thing it's caused. And 6 months later, it's like, oh, I don't want that anymore. I want something else. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, you've reached a certain level. You've got this, whatever, let's say a Lamborghini, whatever, something materialistic that obviously is like out of this world. And then all of a sudden, and 6 months later, like, what? Or you go shopping, you feel better. And then the next day you're shopping again. And it's like, all these things are just feeding into that dopamine rush to try to give you that sense of happiness. But it's all temporarily, because you're not spending that actual time to heal whatever it is that's causing that anxiety to purchase, or that anxiety to at that moment. So to me, it's more from just give yourself your brain time, and all of that will go away. Yeah. We'll be happy here just sitting down, listening, thinking about, okay, how could we be better tomorrow? Just that alone creates happiness versus, oh my God, I got to get the latest shoes. Yes, we're human. Do I go and I buy some shoes that I didn't need? Absolutely sometimes. But it's not because I'm like trying to find a fix or something like that. And sometimes it is because our emotions inside out, it's, they're up and down. It was amazing. Yeah. I'm put an inside out emoji there. I love inside out, but like we all have our emotions, and today I may feel down. I may feel depressed, but you know what? Mentally, I'll be like, you know what? Thank you so much for being there. We're good. Out. Let's go on to the next feeling of happiness or whatever. Getting out, smelling some fresh air or whatever. And I think that is what made me realize that materialistic and stuff like that really just comes and goes.
Right.
Also, I started thinking, how come all these very wealthy people, and there's so much still suicide within them, and you're like, whoa, money isn't everything, or status isn't everything. It's about how can I help my next person or myself grow to be better, so that tomorrow I won't take something personal. Tomorrow I will help my colleague. Tomorrow, that's where my mindset is. And obviously I get a lot of, you're so positive. And I'm like, cool, it is what it is. I respect your opinion on to the next, because at the end of the day, the same energy that I'm spending being negative, I'm going to spend being positive.
Right.
So
very
that's
true.
My thing.
Anybody has something to add in that area? I have something to add. I think this reminded me of I think there's a psychological phenomenon called the hedonic treadmill. I don't know if you heard about it.
Yeah.
So it speaks, I'm probably going to butcher this, and don't judge me on it, but the way I understand it is that humans have a baseline level of contentment. in their lives.
I was just gonna say.
And meaning it's nearly impossible to sustain extreme levels of happiness for a prolonged period of time or extreme levels of sadness. That's why when you lose someone, right, you might be devastated. But after, let's just say a number, right? Because this is different for everybody. But let's say after 2 months, 6 months, you still feel the pain, but it's not as hurtful anymore, right? The same thing that if you buy a brand new car, it feels like a rocket ship and it's wonderful and you want to show it to your friends and family. And all of a sudden, 2 months down the line, it's like you want to trade it for a pickup truck, right? So that reminded me of that. So that was great. That was great.
Just to piggy off of that, it's very similar to what I used to teach my students. There's a difference between happiness and contentment. So happiness is very like temporary. It's like, yay, we won the championship. Yay, we got an A on the test. Yay, I got a promotion. Yay, I won the lottery. Right. Because that's also temporary because you're going to blow the money anyway. You know, all of these things. But true contentment is when you're at night and you're in bed and you can by yourself and you can close your eyes and you can literally be okay with yourself and have that pure contentment and still smile at the end of the day, right? Like you can still and in that moment where you are by yourself and that is pure contentment and it's hard to get to that point. And it's all about the mental health and you have to work at getting to that point. So I think it's really important for us to take that time and go outside and breathe and make sure that you have that time to yourself to be able to get to that point because it's like a muscle. You have to work at it to be able to get to it. So I think it's important.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's also just because I feel like every time I go somewhere, I'm the youngest in the room or someone always has to make some type of comment about it.
Not a bad thing.
And it's gotten to a point that I'm just like, I want to do something that I like to do, but I need to figure it out as I go and learn throughout life because my parents are always like, but in my experience and this is how it happened to me and this is why you shouldn't do it. I'm like, let me fall in the pond and figure out how to swim. You can't really swim in a pond, but it makes sense in my head. And then I'll walk on water one day and then just come back. And it's more of being able to just go outside of your comfort, express that happiness no matter what silly face we have going on, and just appreciate life on a day-to-day basis. Because at the end of the day, what else can you really do?
Yeah.
That's true. I was talking to my niece the other day. And I was recapping with her, okay, you know how many businesses have to fail for you to have a successful one, right? A lot. Like failure is good. You learn from failure and anything in relationship, anything, failure is good. But at the moment, everybody is like devastated. Right? Look at the bright side. You're getting out of your comfort zone. You're growing. You're having to do different things, but not many people think that way. Right. And so my niece, I'm trying to train her from now. I'm like, all right, well, how many businesses have you done so far? And she's like, I'm on business number 5. All right, which one was the most successful so far? She's like, number 5. So she did, what was it? A yard sale. Okay. She's like, Didi, I made $55. I'm like, what? That's amazing, right? And then I have the other one. She's 2 years younger than her on the couch, right? And so she's listening, so but she's not, so right? Cute. So I'm like, listen, you have to continue because failure is good. Like from now, don't be afraid of failure. I can't have like, one thing went wrong and oh my God. No, that not like. Those genes cannot continue. Like, you gotta keep going. And so she said, I'm like, you know what? She opened a business where she would draw a happy face and then the ears of the dog that you owned. So it was going to be a happy face and then the Frenchie ears. So I placed an order. And I'm like, listen, by the way, for that other business that you had, that we even posted online for you, you never fulfilled my order. And my little niece in the background is like, she's a scam.
I can totally see her doing that.
Yeah, no, it's hilarious. But it goes to show how failure is good. Like, like you got it and we all were raised, we're breaking those chains now because we were all raised like, you can't get a beat. You can't go less than second place. What do you mean? Like, you tried your best. You did what you could with what you had at hand.
Move forward. That's my trauma, believe it or not. That's my own trauma. You keep giving me good topics. Failure. This is one of my favorite
Not
subjects.
Not the smiley face with dog ears?
No. This
Which is a good
failure
one.
is better. You know, and the reason why I'm very passionate about talking about failure is because first I failed a lot. I think I've
You have to.
let's redefine failure right now. So I think I failed a lot in the sense that I've had a lot to learn throughout my life. I think for the sake of transformation, right? Shout out Transform Podcast. The idea with what society defines a failure, right? It's something very definitive. Either fail or you succeed. That's the way that it's defined.
Binary, yeah.
Who in this table has felt that they failed at something in their life?
1,000 times.
No,
10,000 times.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what I could tell you, what I feel in my bones is that we also have a 100% success rate from all the failures. We've gotten back up from every failure. We all have challenges in life, but as long as you continue, I'm a fighter. I like fighting. As long as you continue in the fight, you cannot fail. It's impossible. You have faced a challenge. You have lost a battle, but not the war. You could always continue in the pursuit of whatever you want. That life is going to hit you in the face.
Yeah. Always.
And it's not going to be easy.
No.
Like,
It's going to shoot you with a tank.
But you got to look at
Right.
it from the other side.
But continue, and then you shall succeed at some point.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm going to piggy off of that. I've raised 3 kids. I'm saying I raised them because they're out of my house already, right? They're 28, 26, and 21. While we were raising them, it was kind of mandatory for them to like kind of be out of the house by the time they were 18. And since they were younger, I taught them how to do their laundry. I taught them we talked about this last night, taught them how to do their laundry. I was talking to Annie, to your wife. Taught them how to do their laundry when they were young. I taught them how to do how to cook when they were young. I taught them how to do lots of things when they were young because I was training them. I taught them how to manage, their money. I taught like different things, how to right? Their independence, how to manage failure, how to do all of these things, emotional intelligence. They had their own therapist. They had all kinds of things to get them prepared because at 18, I needed them to go out into the world because I didn't know, God forbid something happened to me and I wasn't around. I needed them to be prepared or anything. You never know. You never know what happens. I need them to be prepared, right? So sure enough, they all left and they're gone, but they're fine. And they're never coming back because they are good. They're self-sufficient. They're doing phenomenal. Shout out to my babies. They're doing phenomenal.
They're content.
But they're super content. And it's not because they haven't failed. And it's not because they haven't been like, Mommy, I need some money for, food this week or because of whatever the case may be. It's going to happen. And I'm proud of them for doing that because it taught them how to make sure next paycheck they were going to manage their money better. It taught them how to make sure that they were going to do whatever they needed to do. I haven't had that since then. Right? It's almost imperative. If they were still home con mami y papi, they would not have learned that, right? The life of hard knocks, right? They would not have learned how to manage their checkbook or or whatever. They might have been partying or do whatever, and mommy's going to pay for it or papi's going to pay for it. It's not a big deal. So they're doing it and they're doing it on their own. So I'm super proud of that specific thing. So very similar to what you're doing to your niece. It's kind of, I've exactly done that. And they've transformed into, childhood to that adulthood smoothly because of that. So if there's anything I can give to the next generation is start doing that early, like start teaching the next generation early, because at the end of the day, that's the next generation is who's going to take over this world.
The future of the world.
So we need to make sure that they have a solid foundation. Literally. So we need to make sure they have a solid foundation. They need to have the emotional intelligence. They need to know how to balance a budget, because if not, we're screwed.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Who's asking the next question? Where are we taking this?
Question.
Where are we taking this next? Like, where are we going next? Friendship. Tell me about friendship, the importance of friendship, your experience with making friends, like something actionable, right? If you're out there and you don't have friends today, or maybe you have, it's difficult for you to make friends. Now, through the lens of Melissa, you're gonna learn how to do it. I hope.
Strangers.
I hope too. Well, it all goes back to food.
I mentioned that.
Last night we had dinner together. Yeah.
So you connect with someone, or you connect with just the idea of your favorite food, and you make something out of it. And you're like, hey, I want tacos. Let's go to Naked Taco. Let's go to Hole in the Wall. Like, there's different restaurants or different places that you can kind of go into, but bringing in people that you like to be around, because I think one of the biggest things for me is always, and something that I live by, is to surround yourself with people who are like-minded. And so you're constantly growing and interacting, and you're never the smartest person in the room, or I try not to be the smartest person in the room, because I'm trying to learn from someone else what it takes to do the next thing. But besides a professional career and going back to friendship, I've found a love for hosting. And so I bring that inclusivity, because it's all the philanthropic work that I've had since I was little, and making people feel that they belong, is that every time I do something, I really try to make people feel included, wanted, a part of something. And so whenever I go into something, I want to make sure that even in leadership roles or different things, I want to encourage you and uplift you, because that's how you will grow. And that's how I'll be able to also incorporate, hey, we're growing together. We can do this as a team, and we can do everything together. So apart from the friendship, kind of comes in just different ways of life. And something that I've always lived by is that everyone smiles in the same language. And so when you're walking by, you have that piece of, okay, I know what this means. It already means happiness. It might not mean contentment, but it'll be something that you can kind of pursue as you're going into, this is how I want to start my friendship, or this is how I want to start my professional career.
I always say smiling is contagious, because you just smile and people, it's almost like, oh my God, you're walking down and you're smiling, right? It's like, do they know you? And I'm like, no, I'm just smiling. Like, at the end of the day, it's funny, because it happens to Terry too. She's another one of our friends who, she's always smiling. So and I'm like, Terry, do you know? No, it's just the smiling effect. And at the end of the day, everybody in this world pretty much is a friend, no matter what, right? Because look, now Mike is our friend. And
shout out, Mike.
And so I'm a true believer in speaking to strangers. Everybody's always like, Jenny, again. I always talk to Uber drivers, and all of my friends, are like, here we go again. All of my friends
always like, Mom, we gotta go.
They're like,
wait, how funny, how's it going?
They even it up.
Yeah.
At the restaurant. When we went to go eat, I was talking to the waitress for like, they were like, okay, happy hour is going to be
because
over
you never
soon.
know like what part of their day is a better part of the day.
Yeah. It's funny. It's turned into a thing where the Uber Chronicles where they're just recording because I'm like, oh, so how's your day going? And everybody's like, oh, here we go again.
All the time.
Tell me.
I think, a huge part of it is that, so I grew up very introvert, and then I told myself that I had to be extrovert for whatever reason to make myself a little bit more just wanting to be involved in different things. So I think even in the retrospect of having someone who is introvert or extrovert, no matter what, just being comfortable in the setting that you're in, you'll be able to make friends who are in that same scenario.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I told you when you interviewed me in the spotlight that I consider myself an introvert because it drained me. Remember when we had that conversation? Nobody could believe it, but my wife knows it. You mentioned something that made me think about a question. And this question is actually for the table, so feel free to get the mic.
I feel accomplished.
You said that you like to associate with like-minded people. And you obviously gave it from the angle of like people that could uplift you and, you know, not being the smartest person in the room, meaning you could learn from all these people. But there's a significant difference between associating yourself with like-minded people and people that actually help you advance. Sometimes out of fear, out of necessity, out of not having many connections, you just associate, right? Instead of look for those key people that could help you advance. Why don't you guys talk to me about maybe an experience on how do you see that angle? I like to associate myself also with people that would just carry me to the next level, but it's very easy to fall into the trap of like, let me get, you know, with these friends and go drinking on the weekend and not do anything productive because it's the friends I got. So talk to me about that angle.
I think it's more so being able to challenge yourself and challenge someone next to you. Because as I as I went through undergrad, I used to challenge some of my friends, and sadly enough, I'm no longer friends with them because I thought I was in a comfortable space to be able to speak up and tell them how I really felt. Yeah. And they just took it in a completely different way. And what are you going to do? You just have to move on with your life and follow whatever way or path you're supposed to be taking. So with that, it's accepting the challenges that come with it, but accepting the people that are challenging you in a positive manner. Because a lot of people are always going to want to see you fail, to see you do things that just don't make sense to them morally or however they grew up. And there's just so many different aspects of life to kind of show you that this is not for you. But as long as you're kind of going into life and trying to understand, maybe reading more books, maybe going to the gym more often, maybe having that kind of therapy to connect with certain people who really understand you or want to understand you. There's just different activities to kind of incorporate, and why I might not have it all figured out because yes, I'm young, but there's different ways of life that I've been able to figure out that maybe my best friends are just 10, 15 years older than me. And I've gotten accustomed to that. Like, I feel like I can really confide and feel that mentorship piece because those people are in my same maybe brainwave because I act like an 80-year-old woman in my body and I just want to go to sleep by 10 p.m. But
I sleep at 10 p.m.
It helps with just understanding yourself and growing and not being afraid to slip and fall whenever life takes you in that manner.
Okay.
It's funny because when she said that, I thought of the same thing about, being with like-minded people. I get it because you obviously it's a comfort zone thing, right?
Comfort zone, yeah.
But, and mentors who are going to uplift you, absolutely super important. But to be honest, I think that as humans, we grow more in the area of unlike-minded
I was
people.
just gonna say that.
And the reason why is because that puts you as a human outside of your comfort zone, and then the way you respond to it is going to be what's going to make or break you.
Yeah.
So the easy path is never, I always say easy come, easy goes for some reason. I hate a nerve. No. The easy path is never easy come, easy go. I always say that, right? So it's uncomfortable. It's like, oh my God, why is this happening to me? And blah, blah, blah. But you know what? That's where people differentiate the strong from the weak, the ones that are positive from the not, the ones that could speak up from the not, the ones that are just going to stay like this. That's okay too. It's not what's right or wrong. Is this or that. The one that you choose to go to. I always tell people, it's not what's right for you. It may be wrong for me. What's wrong for me may be right for you. So if we change our mindset a little bit to say it's just this or that, then that judgment goes out the window. And then you as a person, you choose to put yourself in those uncomfortable situations and those uncomfortable environments to say, you know what? I want to adapt to that practice. I don't want to. I want to add that. I don't. And then you start putting yourself around people that actually are like, they're doing the same. So we don't think alike. They're putting themselves outside of their comfort zone. They're like, hey, wait, I never saw it from that angle. And that to me is the key of life. Because when your mom tells you, hey, don't walk on there because you're going to fall, it's like, okay, but maybe I walk on there and I don't fall. Because you fell doesn't mean that I'm going to fall. So just tell me, be careful, or hey, whatever, be positive. But so I put it in that perspective from the thing. But
okay, so I know I'm 3 against 1.
Hey.
But
you had something to say.
I know she was gonna say the same, piggybacking off. But it was more so the ability to start the friendship, to associate with yourself with those people, because someone might not feel that comfortability. And who's to say that literally all my friends are always like, Melissa, why do you start something new? Or Melissa, why do you go by yourself to a networking experience? Or Melissa, why do you go to orientation by yourself? Like, I don't need to follow life because I have friends doing it with me. Like, take me to Horror Nights, I'm going to be in the back of the line. But take me
I'll be in the
somewhere
car.
else. It's funny because I tell my friends that when I went to college, I would, at the freshman year, I started in the front of the line for horror nights. And as I went throughout the years, I started going into the middle, into closer to the end, like behind the top people. And by the 4th year, I was in the back.
Oh, wow.
It shows that you're closer to 30.
Because I would point,
Mickey's
like,
Not So Scary Halloween while my kids were over there.
I would point to where the danger lied, but then, wow, actually looking at the metaphor now, realizing this, it's more so you want to make sure that other people can lead while you're trying to help them lead and pushing them to different spaces. Definitely. I just realized why I went to the back of the line for horror nights.
Transforming right here. You wanted to add, Lisa?
Yeah, so I just lost, that just literally lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
How do you put this? We naturally, I'm going to say organically just because this is going to be funny to my boss, but we organically and naturally gravitate towards what's the same.
What's comfortable.
Even hiring.
What's comfortable.
Yeah.
Even hiring. You probably, like the people you hire, you try to hire like-minded people. It's a little crazy, but it's just subconscious stuff, right? But we have to force ourselves, I think, to be out of our comfort zone in order to grow, because that's where you grow.
Right.
You know, like we don't grow in the like-minded, right?
In the safe zone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, in the comfort zone, right? So very similar to what we were talking about, and a similar conversation that we were talking about earlier. So one of the things that I used to teach in my class was we would have a section where I would teach each kid. I would separate them and then have them go into different groups and tell them, okay, you're creative, you're good with numbers, you're this, you're that, and I would give them a different talent. And in that talent, I would tell them, okay, now you guys have your talent. Now I want you to think about a company, a major corporation. So they would think about a major corporation. Usually they would say like Apple or Google, or those are like the popular ones. So I'm like, okay, think about that. Now I want you to do a business plan. Okay, perfect. So they would come up with their own business plan about that corporation. What do they need to do, so on and so forth. Okay, after they do that, the next block period, I'd have them come together and then do one business plan
as a group.
All together, as a group. Now remember, I had them do them each individually separate. So they're like, but it doesn't make sense. We already did one all together. And I was like, figure it out. So that was always my thing. My kids hated that. Figure it out, because I wanted them to actually do it on their own. Yeah. Right. So you could hear them. I'm in the back grading papers and they're like, bah! Like they're getting upset, they're getting frustrated, they're like trying to figure it out. There's always one person that stands up. Okay, enough. We got to do it this way. Let's go. There's always that one person, that leader, that kind of stands up and gets everybody to start collaborating and get it done. Once they do that, then they get it all together. Then I sit back and then they present it to me, Shark style, right? Shark Tank style. Then they present to me their organization. Perfect. After they do that entire thing, I ask them, okay, what's the moral of the story? So the moral of the story really isn't about the fact that they created this amazing organization. The moral of the story is that they had to get everybody, all of those talents together in order to be able to create a massive organization. So it's not about having all like-minded people in order to be able to do that. Because if you have all like-minded people, let's say for instance, if you have all accountants, your creative marketing is going to go to crap. Yeah. If you have all marketing people, your books are going to go down. So you need to be able to have all kinds of talents to be able to make one organization run successfully. So I think that same concept, and I would tell them that same concept needs to be taken in life. Of course. In order for you to be a well-rounded person, you need to create that type of synergy around you to be able to grow as a better person. You have to. You need to be challenged. I don't know everything. You don't know everything. No. So in order for us to be able to have a better knowledge, we have to be able to be challenged with each other. We have to, like, you might have a better concept. I might know what I'm doing, and I'd be like, okay, this is my whatever. Let's say what I'm doing right now is, doing the consulting stuff. So this is my strategic plan. Let's talk about it. This is what I think we should be doing. And then you're like, okay, I like that. However, let's do it. Let's look at it at this angle. Okay, great idea. Okay, so why don't we put them together?
Right.
Let's do this, let's do that, and then we come up with a better collaborative idea. And that is the badass idea that's going to make the company, whatever company it is, going to move to a better direction. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's all about people.
That is how you're supposed to do it, right? That's the mindset. Sorry
to interrupt. That's actually the reason why my passion is emotional intelligence. Because in order to have that, the person can't think, oh, this person's going against my strategic plan. You have to, they're actually giving you
correct.
You know what I mean? So that's the key to
emotional
everything.
Intelligence.
Because
yeah, you're right.
If it's
not
they
about
understand
me.
Exactly,
Right. It's not about me. It's
what
not
it
about
takes to make the product.
Yeah, and I'm not going to take it personal. Like, it's not about me. It's not my work. It's whatever is going to make the company work. It's a building block.
Correct.
It's not a personal attack against me. It's what's going to make the company work. It's what's the greater purpose, right? Like, not even the company. Let's say whatever the project is, and that's what we have to remember. There's so many times that we take things so personal. There's so many times that we put our emotions into something when it technically isn't. It has nothing to do with the emotions, and then it gets nasty, right? Then we start jabbing people and putting emotional things inside of it, and then it's like, no, por gusto, right? So then that's where it turns into that. So sorry.
Who in the table, on that note, by the way, that's another cool concept. Who in this table have some strategies or something that's been effective for you as far as not becoming super defensive when advice or ideas that are different than yours come up? Because I gotta admit it, I've struggled with that sometime, right? It's really hard because like sometimes you're just too stuck in your feelings, or you think you just know it all, right? So any strategies that have worked for you guys, any advice that you could give the audience on this topic?
Yes,
how to be a better receiver of the information that's given to you, or
the receiver. First, you have to obviously understand where the intent is coming from, right? And that not everybody can deliver the message so that the receiver doesn't get defensive, because automatically, as humans, we all get defensive, no matter what. So the delivery of the message, if you ask me, is what we can work on as leaders to help our peers. Because, like, for example, if I tell you, you didn't cover XYZ on this sheet, right? I'm already accusing you of not doing something when you probably thought you did cover it, but it wasn't that important or whatever, which is okay to have that reasoning. But if I tell you, I feel like this could be a little bit better, or I feel like it's like my feeling versus me telling you the attack, it comes off a little bit different. And I think that educating that helps the receiver understand, oh, they didn't mean to say it that way. Correct. They meant to say, oh, let's tweak it a little bit together, or can I give you some feedback versus you didn't do this. And it's not that they really are like, they're really not. I don't think that anybody is out to get anybody. I think it's just the delivery and the way that it's, that makes a difference. I think.
You had something to say?
I'm going back to my chicken nugget comment. To provide nuggets of life.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord.
I think the first step is to listen. And a lot of people have trouble doing that because all they want to do is speak. And all they want to do is share their idea. And while they're sharing their idea, other people might be able to counter it. And it's similar to what you guys said about the strategic plan and making sure you're emotional intelligent about connecting with each other. You have to be able to listen to the other person first.
They're ready to respond instead of ready to listen.
Right, exactly. They've already come up with the response instead of actually listening to what you're saying.
Exactly. Like, I have so many brainstorming ideas and everything, and every being a part of a board gives you that idea that you can incorporate different ideas, but because you have to listen to all your elders first.
I'm a proud elder, by the way.
Same.
You have to make sure that
the eldest on this table.
Are very
they're not for nothing.
Listen, it depends where you track it from.
I'm still the eldest on this table. But thank you for trying.
She doesn't have as many white hairs as you do.
I do. They're just hidden.
They're died out.
No. I don't dye my hair.
Okay, well, honesty is the best policy. But there's a lot of listening that comes to it. And I think even as a young age that you're able to succeed in the listening factor, then you're able to grow in not with yourself, challenging yourself with other people that's not like-minded to you, connecting with other people through a meal because you want to make sure that you're giving a proper cheers and looking at your eyeballs so that you know that it's a
very
good
important
accent. But making it so that everyone feels whole by the time you walk out of the room.
And it's easier said than done. And I think that, so I'm very strong. I'm sure you guys have noticed. I'm very strong woman. Very
that Dominican in you, right?
Yeah, that's the Dominican, Puerto Rican, Italian in me. Yeah. So, and I'm very adamant at what I do. I know, like, it's like I know my shit. So it's very hard for me for sometimes where if I know what I'm doing, it has taken me years to get to the point where I am at right now, right? Especially when I was younger, in different aspects in different organizations. When a boss would come and tell me, he's like, no, you did this wrong. I'd be like, no, I didn't. I know what I did. And I know because I'm so good at, not good, let me rephrase that. I'm so meticulous at my job, and I'm such a perfectionist that I know that before I turn it in, it is good, right? So when somebody comes to me, to me it was like an attack at me, and I would just be like ready to fight you to the death because I know that my work was good. I'm already getting wild up. Okay, so so the only thing that you should be coming to me was, great job, Lisa. Like, right in my head, that's the only thing you should be coming to me. So when they would come back to me with something else, I'm already ready to fight you. Verbally, not physically. So it took me a really long time. So experience, right? Experience helps you with that. So I think a lot of that has helped me. Speaking to my parents, my mom was a controller, the only female controller of Toyota for a very long time. So my mom mentored me a lot. Like, she helped me. She's like, Lisa, you need to. And she would talk to me, and she was like, like, I need you to calm down, you know? She'd see my eyes get red, and she's like, I need you to breathe, like, right? So there were so many things that she would help me with. Different mentors. Getting a mentor in your life is so important, like having a good mentor, because even when the mentor would come and tell you something correctly, you got to sit there and listen, and you're like, you're breathing through it, right? Because that's the only way you can do it. So understanding that and getting to the point where you can breathe through, because that to me is the only way I can do it. Like, if you're giving me a constructive criticism, I've got to breathe through it, and I've got to take it, and I'm listening to it, right? But breathing through it and getting through it, right? As I'm getting through it, then I can. That's to me that's the only way I can get through some kind of constructive criticism. And in my head, as they're telling me whatever they're telling me, they're like, I'm telling myself, it's not personal.
Yeah.
It's not personal. Like, that's what I have, but you have to, like, almost tell yourself that, right? Like, you have to because for me, I've told myself the entire time, it's a personal, right? Like, and I know it's not now, right? So I have to tell you. So, but I've had mentors, my mom and different business mentors, to guide me into getting myself into a better version or a better exec. You know, or like my daughter calls me a corporate girly. So I'm a different corporate girly at the ripe age that I am right now. So that's why I've become such a successful corporate girly as I am right now. And when I was a director of operations, I had 48 employees under me, and those people were happy. And every Friday we did barbecue every Friday, and I was out there barbecuing and things like that.
Team building is really important.
Team building is extremely important, and that's why I was able to be so successful in doing things like that, is because I had such great mentors to help me through stubborn Lisa.
I think my hot take on this is, as a person that has struggled with this a lot, from my personal relationships to professional relationships, in some scenarios, I admit it. I'm not afraid of admitting some of my flaws, and I've struggled with this. My biggest two learnings have been that what you mentioned just now, that it's not personal. And the second one that helped me deal with this in a better way, and maybe this is actionable for you guys, is separating yourself from what you do. Yes. You are you, and what you do is something else. Correct. Meaning, if you messed up a project, as an example, right. I don't do projects, so I'm gonna use that example. If you mess up a project, well, you messed up a project you were doing. Right. You are not a messed up person. Exactly. So that's something that could help you guys to deal with, you know, advice, or maybe when people want to coach you and counsel you. It's, and I've also come to realize the third nugget is that it's the large majority of times.
Did you just say nugget?
We got nugget.
The third chicken nugget is that, you know,
I'm failing at this.
I think if you are opening to listening to someone else, I think it could help you improve as a person. So I did say nugget.
Thank you for validating my chicken nugget.
Can we call it something else? Let's stick with nugget, just not a chicken nugget.
I like nuggets of life.
Yeah, but that's taken on Instagram.
So where are we taking this now? We've spoken about some degree of mental health, some degree of relationships and friendships. We've spoken about passions.
About food.
We've spoken about food. Where should we take this next?
Let's ask Mike.
Producer Mike, where should we take this next?
We did passion, we did food, we did friendships, emotional intelligence.
And we just spoke about taking feedback in a positive way.
Yes. Oh, his expectation.
Oh, he's hitting me. Hold on, wait, hold on. Don't even move. Great. Off camera, but we're gonna get this.
Passion is something that nobody else will tell you to do.
Oh, I like that.
Passion is something that nobody will ever have to tell you to do or force you to do.
I love
It's in fact something that nobody can tell you you won't do. Not can't, but won't.
Nice.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And you can put passion to the side. I've had to take time to where I was stable enough to be able to come to the park and do stuff like this and just focus on my art, and I'm okay. So sometimes you've got to focus on, you find new passions that aren't as strong in work areas, school, whatever, and you must succeed in those, and then you can revert back to your original passion. Yeah. You understand?
Yeah.
I just love life, and I am life, and your life, and their life, and we're all living. Well, some people are alive, but, you know, of course, not everybody's living. You know, I've been down on the bottom. Right now, I'm doing pretty well for myself. I've got a beautiful girl. We argue, but she's good. I've made a couple good moves, and I'm okay. She's okay. And
amazing, man.
I'm not,
but you're on your way.
Hang out.
That's what matters. Tell me, hit me with the next topic.
This is self-destruct. It's a farmer smoking drugs with his own fuse.
That's cool. That's cool.
Awesome. No self-destruction. No catastrophizing. I always say that. Terry and I always say no catastrophizing.
I love that.
What does that mean?
Catastrophizing. Well, so it's funny. We learned this from one of our friends that she had her.
That was a chicken nugget.
She was. It's the fourth time. She was under, what is it? Under empty nesting. So she's like, okay, now I got my kid in college. We're good, blah, blah, blah. And then she went to her therapist, and then she told the therapist, okay, good. So you're feeling better now? She goes, yes. But now I think my dog's dying. And she's like, how old is your dog? Your dog is 3. And she's like, you need to stop catastrophizing. And when she told us that word, I'm like, that's it. This is great.
That's our new word.
Stop catastrophizing. So don't self-sabotage. You know how many stories we make in our heads is not even reality?
Oh my God, yes.
Every time something's crazy, I'm like, wait, was that a story in your head, or is that is that what actually happened? Come on, let's differentiate. But
me every day at work.
Well, then you gotta work on that.
So let's talk about the future. Because like my passion, I haven't said my passion is growth. I I've always been a highly, and this comes from, you know, being a child and being told, you know, an A is not enough, you know, like 99 could have been 100, that type of stuff.
It's a Cuban mentality.
It's not bad. That's another piece of advice, that it's not totally bad. Nothing in life is perfect. I think that made me a highly driven individual and a very growth-oriented mindset. So let's talk about the future. Let's talk about, you know, some of the stuff, the impact that some of you guys here on this table would like to have. Anything that maybe is driving your decision making right now and all that stuff.
I will say the future in my head is the power of now. I don't really think too far into the future. It is, but it's great. So I don't really think too far in the future. I do plan a little bit, but I feel like my actions of the day of today is what's going to guide and, you know, orient my future. I think that so long that you're in a good place every day and you're trying to do better and you're trying to do good and help people as much as possible, I think the future will align. Obviously, I have like 20,000 businesses, so if you want me to go that route, but it's just because I try to entertain my ADHD brain into so many positive things versus, you know, going out and drinking all the time, right?
Yeah.
So I think I would say that when I think about the future, I just think about what can I do now that would.
So let me rephrase the question. If you had a magic wand and you could draw, Mike, shout out to you again. If you could paint your future, what would you like it to look like?
I would like for my brain to be where it's at now, which is the two things that make me happy. Not having worries, like not worrying about anything, and laughter. And so if my future
not boo.
Well, he makes me laugh, so that goes under laughter. If I can be in the mindset where I'm at right now, in the state of, in the future, wherever I'm at, because I can't really tell you that, like, they ask me all the time, what are your goals? I'm like, I'm pretty content. Like, you know, every day that goes by, that it's another blessing and I feel pretty cool. Like, I'm good, right? So I would say that if I can continue that, nothing changes that for me, I think that would be good. And I'm not influenced enough to change my mindset for happiness to equal that for me.
I want to show you this, and this is a coincidence, I guess. You know, I guess the universe. Look, I sent this to my team today in the morning, and I think it just goes, you know, hand in hand with what you said. Would you mind reading it to the audience?
A day without laughter is a day wasted. 100% agree. I mean, sometimes to the point where even when things are going pretty sour or pretty, like, not, because obviously everything doesn't go your way, I laugh at stuff and people are like, you're cynical. Like, like what? And I'm like, it's all right. Like, it's, you know, you just gotta, comedy releases endorphins. Endorphins makes you happier. So to me, my future would have to have that. No worries and a lot of laughing.
Did you know laughing gives you abs?
And wrinkles.
I gotta laugh a lot.
Laughing does give you abs and wrinkles, so I'm willing to sacrifice the
That's
wrinkles.
also why I prefer waffles and pancakes, because waffles have abs and pancakes don't.
Ching ching!
Oh my Lord.
You're winning at life already.
I love it.
I see that Melissa's future will be in comedy.
No, I don't think so.
Yes.
Just in a small setting, not a stand-up comedian. I will say, there's a lot, I know, ding, triangle. We go to Toastmasters, so we get dinged for saying,
Shout out to
whatever. Yeah, Toastmasters things. I will say that my drawing will be pretty abstract just because throughout life and it's been since I was little, that family has really been a true beacon of my support, my just challenging me in different ways, whether I don't want to take out the trash and I have to, because being in this position now, I'm both the CEO of other things and CEO of janitorial skills. And it goes down to being able to treat everyone with the same respect. So family really instilled in me that you have the power to be happy in the settings that you want to be in, but it's also being able to be healthy. And so family and being healthy has been just, I'm grateful every single day that I get to be helping other people. And if I'm not helping, then I'm getting helped because I want to make sure that it's that mentor-mentee feel. And even if someone doesn't need help, you can be that smile that they don't have for a long period of time. So I think it makes a difference in terms of having that abstract drawing. Maybe I can draw it, but maybe Mike will do a better job for me. But in that regard, it's more so just seeing what gets you going and just having that growth instilled in you. Because even funny enough, you said growth and I've always said growth too. But when I go into interviews, everyone thinks, oh, it's growth in yourself because you want to exceed and then you want to leave and dip. And I'm like, no, I want to help the business. And I've had to like transform the question as I go into different informational conversations and just networking with other people because people interpret it in a different manner. So
definitely.
Listen, anything to add? To rephrase, I think when I say growth, I think I mean evolving. Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's where I was
like
gonna go.
My mindset is always ever changing.
Yeah,
like transforming. So
yeah, I think that's where I was gonna go. And I was like, for me, growth is different because I'm definitely in a different stage than you guys are. Right? Like I'm past everything that you guys.
You just had your Sweet 16s last week,
right? Times what? So I'm past the stages that you guys are on. So it's kind of cool because we're at, like, all of us are in different stages of life, right? And we're doing this and we're all here in the same conversation. So I was doing, while you guys were talking about that, that's what I was thinking about. I was like, it's pretty cool how the universe or God or whatever you believe in put us all together in this aspect. So for me, it's different because it's more about an evolvement, right? At my age, it's more about a different stage in my life. It becomes a different chapter, a different level, a different elevator level of my life. And it becomes more about, okay, now this is my next chapter of my life. Like, what are we going to do now? You know, the kids are gone. They're gone, but they're not really gone because we talk to each other every day. But now I get to, you know, I've had them my entire life. I've been with my husband since I was 16. We've been raising kids all this time. The kids are gone. So now I get to like look in the mirror and be like, okay, now I get to look at myself and who's Lisa? Yeah. Like it's been a transformation, right? So I've been working on myself, something I haven't done in a really long time. And no offense, or I'm not taking it against the joy that I had with the time that I had with my kids, right? For the last 20 something years, raising them, that I wouldn't trade that for the world. Like, I loved raising my kids like that.
You're still raising them.
And I'm correct. And I'm still raising them because we still talk and we still call and, you know, you still answer questions and things like that. But I dedicated every cent and every minute of my life toward them, right? So now they're living their best life. And now it's time for me to just look at myself, right? So it's a different stage of my life. So now it's more about, okay, so what am I going to do? What am I going to do with my time? Because now I have all this extra time. I'm not running around to basketball or to football or to a game or to softball or to whatever the case may be. I have all this extra time in my hand. We've always done philanthropic work. I've raised my kids to do the same. All of my kids graduated with more than 1,000 hours of volunteer work.
Wow.
So we've always done that in our life. So I'm going to obviously continue doing that, but what else? Right. So it's almost like God's way of being like, okay, tranquila. Now you need to look at yourself. We need to, you know, focus on yourself and let's see where this is going to go. So I recently resigned as a teacher. I'm going to, you know, go back into the, you know, corporate girly, as my kids said, and focus on that, right? And focus on myself and whatever else comes into play, new relationships, new, you know, friendships. I have great, networks that I have because of Junior Orange Bowl. I have great friendships that I have, built up because of that.
Extra kids.
I have extra kids that I have gotten because of that all over town because I have extra god kids now. I have extra, you know, wonderful, amazing families that I have been able to do. But now I have time to like enrich that and be able to
really build that up. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to be able to build more relationships and build that up. So it's just a different stage. So the evolvement differs, right? It evolves, it transforms in different stages of your life. So it's just kind of cool. It's kind of cool to see how it changes as time goes on.
Melissa, you're the youngest in the table. You keep repeating it. So how does it feel to be? How does it feel? By the way, how does it feel to be the youngest at the table? Because I feel like I'm the youngest. I still feel like that. I also feel like I'm the youngest at every table. I don't know why. Is it a mindset thing? Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Sorry. Rewind.
Now, as we get ready to close out the episode, I would like to ask you, because I always like to ask at the end of the podcast, what piece of advice would you have for the audience to help them transform their lives? Hit me.
Sorry. Eat your pizza backwards.
Meaning, elaborate.
Meaning be different, be unique, be you.
Be you.
Is it a thick crust or a thin crust?
Whichever, but start from the back. I bet you it'll be
She's been bad today.
I bet you it'll be a conversation starter.
Oh
if you eat your pizza backwards.
Oh my goodness, that's a tough question. Okay, let me think. So
you go.
I'm thinking.
Less is more.
I agree.
Okay.
And you always have your nuggets of life.
Hey.
Shameless plug.
it's going to be the death of me. Okay. I think.
What comes to mind? What would you tell your children? Biggest piece of advice for your children.
So what I always tell my kids is to be the best version of themselves.
Beautiful.
So that's exactly what I'm going to tell you guys. Be the best version of yourself.
And she likes your smell.
And I absolutely love my kids' smell. And I'll explain to you why.
On the next
episode. I'll send you an email and I'll tell you all the details.
I will call my kids and tell them why I said that.
My piece of advice for you guys is continue to pursue your dreams. Don't settle. Don't feel that you are today at the final stage of your life. You're not. You're just beginning. Go do it. Just go get it done and continue growing. I'll see you guys on the next episode of the Transform Podcast. Follow us on all social media. Subscribe here on YouTube, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you guys again. And
Thank you, Mike.
Bye.
That was a trash goodbye, by the way. I just didn't know what to say.
It was so fun.
You can redo it.